So recently there's been a lot of talk about Wuthering Waves and their finances, which has worried a lot of players because obviously there's all this misinformation going about how much revenue they're making, when in fact a lot of it isn't true, and you're also missing out the bigger picture. But one thing that's been going on recently with Wuthering Waves has actually proved that they might be onto something bigger, and that they actually have the finances to fund a lot of massive events, which I think is very exciting. So in this video, we're going to be going through how Wuthering Waves has actually stepped up their advertising, especially since their first release, and what kind of events they're actually funding, and why this might be a good thing for the game in general. But before I get into this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy it, and also go over to Game Subs, use my code KAZO and get yourself 10% off a ton of cups and tubs. I definitely recommend going to check out that new event that's going on at the moment. They've got a new AFK flavor. I think AFK is great. It really helps you get to sleep and stuff, so if you struggle with that, I definitely recommend going to try it out. And yeah, you can get 10% off if you use my code KAZO, and yeah, just go down to the link below. But let's get back into the video. So recently, Wuthering Waves Korea actually released a post on Twitter saying that they're going to be the main sponsors of AGF 2024. Now, if you don't know, AGF 2024 is a very massive event in Korea, and whenever I had a quick Google search about, what the event is all about, they pretty much say it's one of the biggest subculture events in Korea, which again is absolutely amazing to be a main sponsor of. They said, "Hello Wanderers, we're happy to announce that Wuthering Waves has been confirmed as a main sponsor for AGF 2024. From our first meeting with you, the Wanderers in Korea, to now, we've cherished every moment that we've spent with you, and we hope to continue to be together forever." And then they pretty much go on, put a little quote from Wuthering Waves, I'm guessing. They say, "And to repay your love, we're bringing you another special experience at a new location in December. Then I'll greet you again at the AGF site in December. Please look forward to it." So again, obviously this is very lightly translated because of, it's in Korean, it's Twitter translate. But again, you can kind of tell here that, Wuthering Waves have become the main sponsors of this massive event, which is actually being held at Kintex, which is pretty much the Korean International Center for a lot of, exhibitions and stuff like that. And also, obviously, cons and conventions, which again is really great to see. And pretty much AGF stands for Anime and Game Festival, which means that Wuthering Waves does have a very good audience to kind of crack down on there. And if we go to the previous website, I think this is one for the 2023, they do have a lot of footage for it, but we can see some of the sponsors actually showed up to 2023. And we can see here, I don't know if these are 2023 sponsors or 2024, but there are some big companies here that Wuthering Waves are also going alongside. And let's not forget that these are just side sponsors. Wuthering Waves is the main sponsor that is paying for most of it, which again I think is absolutely amazing. Now, I don't know exactly if all of these are side sponsors. Some of these might actually be main sponsors, to be fair, because they are very big companies. But again, we've got so many different companies like Arc System Works, who make Guilty Gear, Army, they're a pretty big, figure store. We've got Nikkei, which obviously is a very big game as well. We've got so many different companies. We've got Hoyoverse, we've got Animate. There's too many to name here. Obviously, we've got Ninja Sanji there. I don't know if that's for last year because, again, they've been in a lot of hot water recently. But again, there are some very, very big sponsors there, and Wuthering Waves has became one of these sponsors, which I think is just amazing. And people may be asking, well, how does this actually reflect Wuthering Waves' expenses and their finances? Well, it's because they are the main sponsor. If you don't know what a main sponsor does, they usually pay for a lot of the stuff going on at the event, whether that's booths, whether that's something else, and in return they do get sponsorship, and they do get, they probably get to put around a couple banners around the event, maybe have their own booth there as well, and maybe have, some other stuff included, with big stage performances and stuff like that, which again I think is very good for marketing Wuthering Waves. If you don't know, in Asia and over in the East, Korea is probably one of the lowest kind of countries in terms of Wuthering Waves player base, which again I think is very good that they're targeting the places that don't have as much players over there. Obviously, the biggest ones are China and Japan. Wuthering Waves have been working really hard to advertise to Japan. They've actually gotten more players than they did from the release of the game, which I think is very, very good, seeing as they've had a lot of issues with the Japanese translation, and now a lot of people are actually warming up to the game over time, and that's with the help of a lot of this advertisement. I think that's what Wuthering Waves are doing with Korea now as well, because obviously Korea is now low down on their list. Obviously, there's still quite a lot of people that play it in Korea, but it's definitely not near as much as China or Japan. So again, I think they do just want to boost that because it will help out a lot whenever it comes to more revenue and also just more players to play the game. And we've seen that quite a lot of times with Wuthering Waves as well, with them, kind of targeting Korea. We've seen this event, and there's also another one before, which was a pop-up store which involved the Shorekeeper and Yohu, which again I think is really cool. They got these really cool design things, which I really hope they turn into skins, by the way. But yeah, this is pretty much going on right now. Actually, it's from the 3rd of October to the 9th of October. I haven't actually seen any pictures from it, so it would be interesting to see if there's any kind of content that comes out of that. But again, it seems like they are very, very much targeting Korea, and I think that the Anime X Game Festival, which as you can see from a lot of the pictures here, here, it's a very, very, enjoyed event. There's a lot of Koreans that go over there. There's a lot of Koreans that, who enjoy anime, games, whatever, enjoy this kind of stuff. And I definitely think that, Wuthering Waves is going to be able to introduce a lot of players to the world, of Wuthering Waves. As you can see here, this is a Hoyoverse booth. And they've got a absolutely massive booth. If this is like, I don't know if they were one of the main sponsors last year, but you can see here that Hoyoverse, it stretches off quite a bit. You've got, a Star Rail one, we've got a ZZZ one. I think that's Genshin behind there. And it seems like there's a lot of people visiting it. So maybe Wuthering Waves can also make a kind of stage on that scale. And it will definitely introduce a lot of people to the game, which, in turn boosts revenue, boosts overall, kind of gameplay stuff. And again, as I said, it's really good for kind of identifying where Wuthering Waves' finances are at, because they wouldn't be sponsoring an event like this if they didn't have the money for it. So it definitely seems like they do have plenty of money, and people don't need to worry whenever it comes to a lot of this misinformation coming out about the revenue and about, their overall finances, which again, I don't think you should be worrying about in the first place. Just worry about what the game's doing and, what they're bringing out. But also, I think that a lot of the cutscenes and the Black Shores update shows us how much they're actually making too, and what they can do with a kind of like limited budget in comparison with other games like Genshin Impact, where, Hoyoverse don't really, go as hard as, Wuthering Waves do in terms of graphics, in terms of cutscenes and stuff like that, even though they have pretty much an infinite amount of money to work with. But again, I've also seen some other bits of advertising going around, which I definitely think is a massive improvement to whenever Wuthering Waves first released, because if you don't remember, whenever Wuthering Waves first released, not very many people knew about it, mainly because they didn't really advertise it much. Like, it wasn't around. They put out a few videos, a few trailers or whatever, and obviously, us in the gacha community did talk about it quite a bit because it was a very exciting game. But outside of that, it took them some time to actually adjust and then release new ads, which, would entice more people to join. And I think that's what they're doing now. They're actually, stepping up their game even further, which I think is great. Obviously, I posted this tweet the other day saying Wuthering Waves advertisement is improving. During the release of Wuthering Waves, players were concerned with the lack of adverts, but with the 1.3 update, players have actually been seeing a ton more ads, including this one for Yohu, which isn't even out yet. Is it too early to advertise that? And then there was this whole video of pretty much, Yohu being advertised again. It's a Google advertisement. I don't know if this is actually on YouTube or not. I'm pretty sure it is. I don't know. It's something similar. But again, this was being advertised in Japan, so it does seem like they are still targeting Japan quite a bit. I haven't seen any of these over in the UK, and I don't think anybody's seen them over in the US either. So again, maybe we're going to see more adverts like this coming to the more western regions, but it seems like they definitely are targeting the east quite a bit at the moment, obviously because these are the big spenders. And I think that's a very, very important strategy for Wuthering Waves whenever it comes to advertisement, is to target places like China and Japan and maybe even Korea, where players are more likely to actually spend a lot more compared to the West, where, we're a little bit tight. We don't really like spending a lot of money on the game, and that's totally fine. And I think that's just a general consensus. Obviously, some people do spend a lot of money on the game over in the West. I don't think the number of heavy spenders, kind of compares to the might of China and Japan whenever it comes to overspending on a game. So again, it seems like, that's definitely something they want to kind of advertise to more, because again, they're going to make more money if they advertise to more people that are more likely to spend more money on the game. So again, it's very, very cool that they're doing a lot of this advertisement. I'm super excited to see what they kind of do at AGF, what, kind of things they bring to a lot of the panels, whether they do even more advertising than first expected. Obviously, this is coming out in December, so we're not going to know until then. Maybe some people and some content creators might be going to this. I'm not sure. It does seem like a pretty big event. It would be pretty interesting to go to. And yeah, just very exciting to see that Wuthering Waves is sponsoring these kind of events. But let me know down in the comments what you guys think about this. Do you think it's a good thing that Wuthering Waves is sponsoring AGF? Or do you think this is kind of like a pointless thing to do? I think, honestly, it'll be an amazing thing. I think it will definitely advertise Wuthering Waves for a lot more people. And it definitely shows off, how much they've made over the past couple of months and how much they've actually been growing in terms of popularity. But that's about all I got for this video. If you did enjoy it, then don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. As I said, go over to GameSubs, use my code Kaza, and also go to my Twitch where I'm going to be streaming a lot more. I definitely recommend to go check that out. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.